Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
Well, this was a race of disappointment. What was set up in the first half was a tale of teammates and who should be allowed to lead the race. And then in one instance, in the whole race, it became a boring slog of Skeletrix cars following each other around. Around what has to be said is a rather dull track. What do you think of the race? Tell me in the comments below. And whilst you're there, just tap that subscribe button. I'm releasing 3 or 4 videos a week, and I'd love for you to pop back every now and again and check out my videos, especially my new ones on McLaren's new engine deal for 2021, and Bottas being the number 2 driver, the bitch to Hamilton's butch, if you would. So that said, let's take a step-by-step look at the Sochi Grand Prix 2019. Sebastian Vettel got an absolute beast of a start, easily dispatching Hamilton, and then swooping past Leclerc at the first corner. Even the McLarens got into challenging the Mercedes, and for the first 10 laps or so, Sainz kept Bottas behind him, which is an achievement for them in itself. Also at the first corner, Giovinazzi was squeezed and hit Ricciardo and Grosjean. Grosjean retired on the spot, and Ricciardo would eventually retire with floor damage. The first part of the race was a fascinating battle between the Ferrari drivers as Vettel refused to let Leclerc back past and just kept setting fastest lap, getting further away. Leclerc was allowed to pit first and Vettel stayed out. This obviously was planned to let Leclerc back through as Vettel lost time to the undercut. And indeed, Leclerc did get out first. But then disaster. Vettel broke down with MGHU problems and the race was ruined. Hamilton and Bottas pitted under the VSC, and Hamilton got out ahead of Leclerc. And then George Russell crashed into the wall with apparent brake issues, which brought out the full safety car. Leclerc pitted again, and then behind Hamilton and Bottas could not get past him on the track, and we watched the dull procession of not being able to get close enough to overtake. The battle for the front was won in the pit lane. Robert Kubica also retired with the same problem that caused Russell to crash into the wall. And this is his first retirement of the year, which is a huge shame. But that was the last instance of note in the whole race. Other than Magnussen dropping a couple of places and the Toro Rosso drivers almost hitting each other, it was just a boring case of follow the leader. Formula 1 needs to sort this out. These drab affairs can't go on. This was the least entertaining race since France, and with no championships to go for this year, there could be no real drama because who cares? I'm going to spend my Sundays watching Care Bears instead, because there's more action in that than an F1 race. Should teams be allowed to pit under a virtual safety car? It gives such a huge advantage to whoever needs to pit. Magnussen even jumped up into 6th after the stops, after not really showing the pace to do that on merit. I'm all for pit stop strategy mixing up the field, but pitting whilst everyone drives slowly gives you around about 15 seconds advantage. That's not strategy, it's almost like a cheat code. Mercedes just hammer in the Konami code and jump 15 seconds up the field. It's not really fair, and in this instance robbed us of a race for the lead between 2 teams. Instead we got Bottas protecting Mercedes' number 1 driver, Hamilton, and Leclerc fruitlessly trying to get second. Yawn. So let's have a rundown of the drivers in this race. Now for Singapore, I gave the drivers a rating out of 5. I'm not doing that again because I realised as I was editing it that it was incredibly annoying and stupid. So let's just go through team by team and have a chat about their performances. Starting with Mercedes. They were very lucky that the strategy just kind of fell in their lap. They didn't have the pace to keep up with the Ferraris at the start, but once out in front it was easy for Hamilton, and Bottas honestly didn't have to defend that hard. It was just too easy for them, despite being unimpressive. Ferrari will be disappointed. Talk about stealing defeat from the jaws of victory. Vettel breaking down really screwed them over, and they will be disappointed that their winning run is over. But they have the performance and it'll be interesting to watch them at the last few races. Red Bull didn't have anything to show after their upgrade. It didn't seem to add anything. and the grid penalties they received probably weren't worth it. Albon did well to get 5th. He is more consistent than Gasly at least, but his crash in qualifying doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. McLaren had a great race, challenging the Mercedes at the start, and Sainz had a quiet but useful race, finishing in 6th, and Norris did well to finish 9th. Norris will be disappointed that he couldn't hang on to his teammate, but points are points. Renault had a bad weekend, Hülkenberg was lucky to score a point, and Ricciardo never got to show what he is capable of after his contact at the start. Magnussen did well to score points, but never really showed much speed throughout the weekend. And after his good qualifying performance, Grosjean was unlucky to tangle at the start and lose out. Racing Point did well with Perez and Stroll. Even though Stroll was in 11th, just missing out, they were about where you expect them. Toro Rosso will be disappointed after their upgrade. They didn't have anything to show for it, and the two teammates looked more likely to take each other out than actually score points. But they both managed to hold off Albon for a decent amount of time. Alfa Romeo were looking off the pace as well, not helped by Raikkonen's penalty and Giovinazzi's contact at the start. He finished last of the finishers, and this was Williams' worst race so far. Both cars retiring for the first time this season with brake issues. Russell once again in the wall through no fault of his own. So that was the Russian Grand Prix of 2019. A very forgettable race, and we look forward to the Japanese Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time. Honestly, it can't be much worse. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I'm uploading content regularly and it would mean a lot. Especially if you can come back and watch a few of my other videos. I'm going to try and release a general roundup of the weekend's motorsport tomorrow. We have Formula 2, Formula 3, British touring cars, Super Formula and NASCAR to talk about. So it'll be worth hearing your thoughts on those. So please like, comment and subscribe, and most importantly, have a good one.